Welcome to the show, Brad. Great to have you back.
Great to be here. Great to be here.
This is so exciting for me personally, but I know for a lot of fans of the sport locally and around the world that what is now billed as the International Tournament of Chivalry is returning to Springfield. And people have seen this in the past at the venue at the Illinois State Fairgrounds, and it's been gone for a little while, but now it's coming back to a much bigger venue. Very exciting announcement made formally today. Give us the details.
Yeah, we're going to be at the convention center, Prairie Capital Convention Center. Basically, we outgrew the venue, which, I couldn't be any happier about that, right? But the big announcement is it has grown exponentially, and here's how. HMB, and in partnership with HMB, Historical Medieval Battles, and Battle of the Nations, we have brought to Springfield a tournament that is going to be the largest tournament in the Western Hemisphere. It's going to have teams from Russia, Ukraine, Belarus, Canada, Mexico. We're still talking and trying to get Austria, and 6 to 8 teams from around the United States. So it'll be the largest full contact armored combat tournament in the Western Hemisphere right here in Springfield.
Boy, that is extraordinary. And again, these are events that have been held all over the world in Eastern Europe and Western Europe, and at medieval castles and things.
Yeah.
So this is something that is known, and you have participants, as you said, from all around the world, and to have it to come here in Springfield of all these locations. Now, this is a little bit of inside baseball here, but help us kind of understand, because as you noted, this is operated under a couple of different titles. I know there was the Armored Combat League at one point, Battle of the Nations. Now you referenced the Historic Medieval Battles. So what's been happening with all these different names, all these different groups, and how does this all shake out finally?
Well, HMB is the parent organization that started this sport. And it started in Eastern Europe. Some of the first teams are Russia, Belarus, Ukraine. And then it branched out and got bigger and bigger. As it did, some countries formed different groups, different teams, different associations. But essentially, they all come under the umbrella of HMB. HMB is the parent organization that began the sport and sets the guidelines for the sport. Many of the individuals in the United States, like myself, are part of the original 29 from the United States team that went in 2012 and fought in Warsaw, Poland. Then we fought in France, and we've been in Spain, we've been in Prague, all of these various countries, and we've built relationships with these international teams with a partnership with HMB. And it has given us an opportunity to take the fan base that we have here in Springfield and the surrounding area and bring those countries from Europe here and let them see the excitement that is in this community for the sport.
Now, again, a lot of our listeners have heard about this for a long time. They've been to see the events. They know how exciting it is. People who aren't familiar with it, walk us through what happens here when we're talking the International Tournament of Chivalry, and this has its roots back in the gallant men of the Middle Ages, but this is fierce combat, and it's real combat.
It is. To train for war in medieval Europe, they would have tournaments, much like this. The weapons were not sharp. They were not made to cut. They were made to be concussive. They were made to have blunt trauma. You are in full harness, head to toe, full armor. Some of the kits range from anywhere from 55 pounds up to 90 pounds of armor. And the blows are full. As you've seen on my Facebook, I'm hitting. And we're hitting for real. And
we're going to tell the story here in a minute just about how real this is. But I mean, and you're hitting people with describe the weapons that you're talking about that you're using to in effect bludgeon your opponent.
Okay, so you'll see a variation when you come to the event, and your family see a variation of the weapons we're using. We're using swords that'll be 2.5 pounds, up to axes and pole axes and halberds that are over 7 pounds. There's hand maces at about 2.2, so 2 pounds 2 ounces. And so the weights depend on the type of weapon, but all of the weapons that you would see in a museum, and this is what we use as our gauge to what weapons we use by what we can document in a museum. Those same things that you would see in a museum in Paris and that you would see in Germany or any of these various areas in Spain, those same weapons are what we use, and the armor is the same also. So when you come to this event, what you'll see is you'll see one-on-ones where knights from different countries do single combat, either with a long sword, sword and shield, or sword and buckler, small metal shield, about like that. Or you'll see 5-on-5s, which is 5 knights from each country. And as you've seen on many times, and all the fans have seen, last person standing. Or we're even going to be planning some massive all-on-alls, which is where every knight that's there, that's still healthy and ready to go after a day of fighting and in the tournament and in the pools that we're going to be running, we put them all on the field.
Think one of the battle scenes from Braveheart with fewer kilts and more armor, and it just unleashing the hounds and off you go. And it is a wild scene. I mean, you can see sparks flying as metal swords hit metal helmets. You will see, and the crazy thing about it to me, what I wasn't expecting was I was expecting just really, I guess, just sort of brute force. There's a lot of strategy involved here, particularly in these the 5-on-5s, and how do people square off, and do you do 2-on-1? Do you do 3-on-1, and if you do that, are you leaving your teammates exposed? And so there's a lot of strategizing that goes along with it too.
There is, and you can tell that you've been announcing for us, and you're the voice of this sport in this town, because it's not just 5 people, 5 knights from each side going at each other and just swinging for. There's a lot of technique. I can place an axe where I choose to put it. So in the middle of all of this going on, and it sounds and looks like a car wreck, I can put an axe somewhere to get a desired effect. Or I can grab you, try and push you down, so essentially the knight who's fighting one of your other teammates can push him over the person I just knocked down.
Yeah.
Or I might just stall and wait for someone that's behind me not to see what's going on, and I'm just stalling with you, waiting to go that way.
Wow.
You'll see many individuals. There's big guards and centers on the 5-man teams like myself. You have smaller flankers that are running and fast, and which guys like me can't stand that because they're always faster, right? But if I catch them, then it's a different situation. But one of the things I want to make sure that I get to that's important that I came to surprise you with is HMB, as you know, is a worldwide broadcast, and you've seen some of it when I'm in Europe fighting. You've always been a loyal fan and part of our team. They have a voice of the sport, and it's Gavin Stewart. Gavin is what the fans that know HMB and Battle of Nations, when we're in Europe participating on behalf of the United States, they know him, they love him, and they're used to his voice and they feel comfortable with it.
Yeah.
You are the voice of the sport in Springfield, and have been since the first day.
And it's been an honor, I got to tell you.
Well, we have a very special thing we want to announce. Gavin Stewart is flying here to be with you.
Wow.
So both of you can cover. We're going to be doing a fiber optic live feed that is worldwide.
Oh.
It'll be watched all over by fans all the way from here to Russia. And Gavin and yourself are going to be the voice of this sport together, and it's huge for us. It's a huge privilege. Not only that you've always been the one that no matter what happens, you always come, you always do it. You're always a consummate professional. The fans love you. The fighters love you. And Gavin's excited. He told me to make sure to tell you he can't wait to get here. The two of you on that stage in a venue as big as the convention center. We went to the convention center because we ran out of room. It's very exciting.
Well, it's personally a thrill and an honor for me, and I can't tell you how much I'm looking forward to it. We're going to have the details in just a moment here on exactly when and where and how you can get this. It is 3:48. We're talking with Brad Schaive here with the International Tournament of Chivalry that's coming to the Prairie Capital Convention Center back in Springfield. But this is a global event that's going to be based right here. I have to make sure we tell the story, though, about just how real this kind of combat is. And we've talked before about, people sustain broken bones, they sustain cuts and things. There is a picture on your Facebook page that, to me, is as perfect a visual demonstration of how real this is as I've ever seen. Explain what happened when you went up against this French fighter over in Europe.
Well, the French team call him the Stone. He's a massive knight that fights on their 21 team. And we were in the middle of a 21-on-21 fight. And for that fight, I took a long two-handed axe, about just a little over 7 pounds. When the fight started, the crash, I went to the left side. He was against the rail. So what they do is they take a man like the Stone and they put him on the rail to kind of solidify that flank. So I figured I'll try and drop that flank. We can slide past. So I started landing some nightly blows on him. And when I say, I mean hard, to the extent where I broke my axe over his helmet on about my 7th or 8th shot. So, as you know in the sport, when you lose your weapon, you have to go back to where you entered the list, grab another one from one of the assistants on the team. By the rules, return to the fight. You cannot fight without one.
Right.
So I run back. The coach gives me another axe. I return and start where I left off because obviously the Stone's holding that flank. So I give about 6 or 7 shots. He's just taking them. I mean, I'm just caving his helmet in, and he's just taking them. I've never seen anything like it. So I thought, well, I'll just change up, and I'll put one to the face instead of the top of the head. So I just did a baseball swing right to the face, and it just hit perfectly where it went through the visor on his helm. And so as it went in, there's a lot going on. So you can't necessarily, you can see, but you can't tell. There's so much happening.
Because you yourself have a visor
Absolutely.
on your face, and it's a narrow field of vision.
Yeah, so it's like looking through this, right? So I'm pulling on it. When I did, he comes all the way down. His head drops all the way down. I thought, uh-oh, it's stuck. And I thought it was stuck in his aventail, which is the mail around the neck area of the helm. Well, it wasn't. It was in his visor. So he pops back up. I step in close, and I see that the axe is against his face. It's laying against his face.
Wow.
So it's and there's a lot of knights from around the world who have made comments that it's weird how things happen. You don't plan them. I just stopped, dropped it, patted him real softly, and said, drop, get on your knees, it's on your face. And then I took off to get another weapon, which consequently
because yours is still stuck in his visor.
Absolutely. Obviously, it's my. I'm going for my third weapon. One I broke, one I wedged in his helm. So when I did, he in the video you can see he just takes it, bends it, and throws it out. It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen, and just stands there.
Sounds like something out of a Marvel superheroes movie, though.
You see people with nicknames all the time, but no one has earned a nickname, as far as I know, as well as that. Because I could have hit him with a school bus, and he'd still be looking at me.
Now, you're wailing with him with this axe, swinging it in, wedging it into his face so it's up again. Did you cut him? Was he injured?
You know what? By the grace of God, it did not. I'll tell you what happened. His helm slowed it down enough, and from the angle, it went in and wedged and just laid there. Now, luckily, I was observant enough. I've been doing the sport for a long time. And like I told you, I can put an axe wherever I want. That's kind of one of the things about it is you become self-aware. So I could tell that something was wrong, and then I stopped and looked and saw where it was and immediately stopped. If I hadn't have done that, could you imagine if I would have pulled him down, he would have fell on top of it when it was in his helm, or if another knight would have come and started hitting it. Yeah. So, it was a blessing that it happened the way it did. And that night, he and I exchanged gifts and, did what knights do. We spent time together and had wine, and that's the thing about the sport, and there's not too many times you can go around the world and make lifelong friends.
But it's a reminder again that this is for real. This is not play acting, and people can get hurt. You take all the precautions to prevent that, but it's very real, and it's incredibly exciting, and it's coming to Springfield. So give us the details, exactly when and how do people wind up able to see it?
So it's at the Springfield Convention Center, Prairie Capital Convention Center. The tickets are on sale right now through Ticketmaster, or you can buy them in person at the convention center. It's $10 per person or $25 for a family with 2 adult maximum. So we do that because if you're husband and wife and you have 3 kids and you got the neighbor kids that are always at your house, so they might as well be your kids, you're feeding them all the time anyway, bring them with you, same cost, $25 for the whole family. $10 per person. We're going to open the doors at 11.
And this is Saturday, October 1st.
It is Saturday, October 1st. And we're going to open the doors at 11, start fighting. The main tournament will begin at noon, and then we're going to go. And we're going to go until we can't go any longer.
Wow.
So this is one of the only things you'll ever see where this many athletes are going to get together and go until they can't go any longer for $25 for a family. It's a great thing. We do that so we can build the fan base.
Brad Schaive, International Tournament of Chivalry, coming back to Springfield again. It's Saturday, October 1st, Prairie Capital Convention Center. Tickets available right now. I'd get them early because a lot of people are going to want to see this in person, and there's going to be fans following this all over the world. It's very exciting stuff. Again, congratulations on bringing this back to Springfield.
Thank you.
I can't tell you again how honored I am to be a part of it, and looking very much forward to taking part in that with this international contingent from all over the world coming here for this incredible event.